Welcome to the Play Ed 3 podcast. My name is Rick, and I'm here with Tisha, who is wearing her Play Ed 3 t-shirts, which we got sorted for ISTE, which has now been and gone.
I love these
Which is sad.
t-shirts, Rick.
I
You said you
know,
were
I'm
going to
quite
order
impressed by them.
and I
Yes.
knew obviously it's our logo design, so it wasn't like that was going to be a
Yep.
surprise. But
It's a simplified
Mhm.
logo
But
design
seeing
compared to what you'll see on the introduction.
seeing it on a t-shirt, and then honestly, I told you this at ISTE, like putting this t-shirt on, it's
Mhm.
going to sound so corny, but it felt sort of magical to put it on.
Mhm.
And I can't even explain that. There's only a couple of times that I've put a t-shirt logo on that has felt magical. I won't tell you what all of those times
Oh,
were
okay. Well, that kind of ruined my
because you were going to
next
ask.
question that I was going to ask.
But
Yes.
but
Beat me to it on that one.
I mean, people who know me are going to know. All you got to do is probably look
Yeah.
through my social media to know. But
Yeah, that's true.
this gave me that exact feeling, and I think it's just because genuinely this podcast is one of the it's one of my most favorite projects to ever work on. This podcast, and this wasn't even something that we didn't plan. I mean, it wasn't like we
No, we
set out
didn't.
and went, "Oh, we're gonna do a podcast eventually." It was sort of an on-the-fly, intuitive idea that I had and told you about, and I never would
Yeah.
have guessed that we would be in season 2. This is episode 9.
Yes, episode 9 of season 2. Yes, you're correct.
And
Hats off to you for remembering that. Usually you're just like, isn't this like episode 40 or something? I'm like, it's 32.
No. But it's fascinating to me because it gives me so much life and joy. Not just showing up every week for
Mhm.
our subscribers and our listeners, but it's genuinely it gives me life to create this platform for
Yeah.
other people to share their stories, and
Yeah.
playfully at that, because I always say education is a serious spot right now, especially right now.
It is.
but
It is very much
but
so.
bringing together the playfulness of our guests and even of ourselves, I think you and I have shown up on this podcast more playfully than probably anybody has seen us before. 'Cause
Yeah,
we
I
tend
would
to
agree
lean
with you
on
on
the
that.
serious side, both of us.
We do, yeah, because we're constantly, it's like we're always in professional mode every single time when it comes to
Yeah.
a lot of things that we do. And then I would say since we've started this podcast, it's become more like that, as you say, that playful, that creative side. People notice that dynamic between you and I with how we talk to each other and we present stuff, and we brought that into ISTE as well
Yeah, it's
when we did our
funny.
2 presentations.
I mean, people commented that's the thing. People have always commented on the dynamic that we have, but even
Mhm.
as recent as a couple of days ago, somebody texted and said, I forgot I guess it was, I don't even know what episode they were listening to, honestly, but the text message came through and it was like, "You and Rick are hilarious." It was somebody I had not heard from ever. And they texted me and said, "Your dynamic makes me laugh all the time." And I think we didn't intend on necessarily making people laugh in the way that we do, because we're just being ourselves. But I
Yeah.
love that it brings people joy, and that
Mhm.
makes me happy because I want to put a smile on people's faces, whether they're educators or leaders or, they're a parent, just happen to find our podcast. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
great.
thanks for
It is great.
this t-shirt.
You're very welcome.
Well, I
Brought
want to
all the way from
all the way
England,
from England.
4,000 miles
Well,
to
I wanted
Orlando,
to point
and then it
out,
traveled over to Texas.
I'm gonna turn around for the people who are watching because I no, stop.
Sorry.
I'm gonna turn around. I'm gonna take my headphones off and turn around for the people who are watching so that they can see what both of our shirts say on the back. Okay. So
Okay.
while I have my headphones off and I'm turning around, I'm gonna let you narrate this part, which I'm not gonna
Okay.
hear, and then it's probably gonna be hilarious when I play it back. Okay. All right. Ready?
Okay.
3,
Yep.
2, 1.
Yep. Okay, so those who are listening and not watching, Tisha is now turning around and showcasing her back. This is what she's going to do for the rest of the season. She's not going to speak, and I'm just going to describe everything. But basically, it's got co-host and 00 on the back.
What does 00 mean?
Yes, because we are the co-hosts. We are the originals. The beginning of it all. We are the founders, the creators of the Playhead 3 podcast. And I was just absolutely praising your technique of turning around and showcasing that.
It felt really awkward, I have to say.
When you listen back to it, you definitely need to listen back to it, I think. I think it would be powerful for you.
Okay. I want to shout out that you did something really fun for one of our listeners, Amanda. She is the only podcast guest so far that has a shirt just like this with her episode number on the back, which I think is such a cool
guest number. You keep saying episode number.
Sorry.
And then guest number.
Okay.
Guest number.
Sorry, I didn't show it perfect today.
We're having a fight in today's episode, everybody, if you've not told. But yes, continue.
Well, I was just gonna. You're so British polite right now. I was just gonna say that I mailed that to Amanda, and it was on. It's so cool because now what I would love to do is fund a T-shirt for every one of our guests with their episode number on the back.
Not their guest number.
I'm so sorry. You just said it and I totally forgot.
Yep. It took all of 10 seconds for Tish to get it wrong.
I'm basically Dory, okay? I'm so sorry. I feel like you know what? That's actually a great comparison. We did our ISTE sessions and we were comparing that you were from Up. What's the guy's name? You've already forgotten.
I'm not Googling it right now.
You've already forgotten his name. God, what is his name? I can't remember. And then Ellie. She's the adventurer. And then we were talking, Carl, and then we were talking about,
yeah, thank you.
We were talking about how you, and we actually put this in our presentation, but you are Cogsworth.
Yeah, you wanted to emphasize that I was Cogsworth.
With the British accent and all. And then
with the British accent and trying to keep structure with everything
and then who am
order. And you were
Vanellope.
I want to say Penelope. Penelope.
No, Vanellope.
Vanellope.
From Wreck-It Ralph.
I've been thinking it's Penelope the entire time. Vanellope from Wreck-It Ralph, because she's crazy and wacky and spontaneous and all those many different things, which is a complete opposite from my side.
And now I'm actually thinking, after this moment of me forgetting 10 seconds later, I think now we have a new analogy. I think you're Merlin
Dory.
And I'm Dory. Wait, not Merlin. I can't stop laughing. What's his
name? Which one? We've said Cogsworth, we've said Carl, and now we've brought Merlin into the equation. Should we just say Buzz Lightyear, Woody?
Merlin was wrong. What, Marlin?
Mickey.
Is it Marlin? I think that's his name. Is it Marlin from Finding
what?
Nemo? Dory? I'm obviously Dory because I just forgot the thing that you just told me. Like, which way is it going?
Yeah, Marlin.
Marlin, that's who you are. And I'm
Marlin,
Dory.
the worrywart.
Well, I would say he's more serious than anything.
Yeah, he's more serious, but he is a worrier. You have to admit.
You're not a worrier, but I do think we've just displayed that I'm more Dory than you are.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're definitely more Dory than I am, 100%.
Well,
100% you are, but yes.
Okay, on the back, it will be their guest number.
Well done. Yes.
I mean, you know, it'd be great.
Their
It's
guest appearance on the Played 3
what
podcast.
if we uploaded this logo and actually they could go purchase the shirt with their guest number on the back?
I think the biggest question is if you're listening to this episode and you've made it 10 minutes in, firstly, thank you.
Thanks for staying.
Secondly, thanks for staying and listening to our shenanigans for the last 10 minutes. If you would like a Played 3 t-shirt, let us know. Let us know if that's something that would interest you and is something that we would actually start providing as a service.
As a service.
As a service.
You're so British polite
I'm so
today. I don't
British
even know.
tonight.
It's funny. I was having a
It's
conversation with
because it's been an entire month since we last recorded an episode.
It is, and I was just gonna say that I was having some conversations with ChatGPT, and, you know, Chatty G
Chatty G
is
is
my
your
homeboy.
best friend.
He's
It's
my
your best
homeboy right
friend.
now, and he, basically he was reflecting on how my typing and talking and thinking leans more
Mm-hmm.
towards British politeness with a little sprinkle of Texas friendliness in there. But I do speak I think it's because you've influenced me to be more
Oh,
polite,
100% is
which is
because
probably
I've
good.
yes.
It's probably a good thing for me.
Yes.
You're a good
Yes,
influence
you're
on
less
me.
sharp.
Wow. Yes, I'm not even gonna argue with that because it's true. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
Let's go into ISTE.
What we were actually going to talk about. So first off, I think the biggest thing is we obviously were at ISTE in Orlando this year. Shout out to everybody that we had the pleasure of bumping into, talking to, presenting to, all that amazing stuff. Obviously, we also had the joys of the World Cup going on, which was entertaining at times, especially that first day when we got kind of trapped in that one venue because there was a load of Moroccan fans right outside watching the match. That was not intimidating at all. But
I mean, I was inside doing karaoke, so I didn't
yeah,
even
you were inside
notice.
doing karaoke. So yeah, you were just frolicking
I was, as I always say,
Vanellope.
yes.
Yes. But yeah, the biggest thing that kind of surprised us at the very, very beginning, and people are probably aware of this already, is the fact that ISTE has changed their name.
ISTE is still ISTE,
Well, it's still ISTE, but
but with
they've
a
made some
different
changes to words
wording
now.
for that acronym, which is interesting because I have just Google searched it. And even when you put ISTE in the Google search, it comes up with International Society for Technology Education. It is
Yeah,
also,
because the SEO hasn't caught
yeah,
up yet.
exactly. And so it is now International Society of Transforming Education.
Mm. And what was your biggest takeaway from that, Tish, when you first read it? Because we found out we were actually on our way back to where we were staying.
Mm-hmm.
We were in the taxi.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first
Mm-hmm.
day of ISTE, and they'd obviously announced it during their keynote
I
and
saw the
everything. And
notification.
yeah, and what was your first initial reaction to the fact that they've changed it from technology to transforming?
My initial reaction was surprise, and yet I wasn't
Mm,
surprised. I think it was
yep.
I think it was surprise that I always feel like I intuitively kind of know the direction things are going to go in, but that wasn't on my bingo card that they would change the name.
Mm.
The
Because a
transforming.
lot, I think it's okay for them because a lot of people refer to the event as ISTE.
Oh,
They
100%.
don't they don't
But
they
I
don't read the entire name out every single
but I think
time.
what is important is the intention of changing the word technology to transforming.
Mm-hmm.
Transforming isn't new to ISTE. I mean, when we
No,
were
no,
writing the
no.
book, we were talking about the not just the ISTE standards, but the the transformational learning principles. That was something that we were looking at, used while we were writing the book. That word transforming and transformational is not new. Um,
No.
what I think is interesting is And I love it because I always have said this, and I said this when we wrote the book. Our book does not mention a tech tool. We are
Nope,
not
completely not.
loyal to a tech tool because forever and always my educational philosophy will be that good teaching is good teaching wherever you go, whatever you're teaching, and whoever you're teaching in those moments, with or without
Yes.
technology, with or without AI, with or without a worksheet, whatever is happening, good teaching is good teaching, and good teaching is transformational for the students and the learners who are in those classes. So for me, I was already sort of aligned with this idea, and it's interesting because as an instructional technology specialist, or sometimes called a digital learning coach, or there's there's so many names for the same role in a school district. Uh I knew my role was to guide and lead educators and administrators to tools that were going to help them solve a problem or help students get to a learning goal. But every single day that I woke up and did that job, I knew that that wasn't the focus. The tool wasn't the focus.
Mhm.
The tool is a
Yeah.
support to the expertise and experience of a teacher. The focus is
Yes.
getting the student to that end goal. And so for me, I was surprised and yet also not. I was surprised and also like, oh, I like this because that aligns with
Yeah.
me. For me, things have to have a purpose and a meaning. And if we're just doing it
Yes.
just to do it, I don't believe in that. And I think
Mhm.
sometimes some people will use a tool or use a device just because. And for me, that doesn't align with my educational philosophy. It doesn't align with my personal value.
Mhm.
I don't have things in my home that are not useful. Like I'm not just going to buy a thing to buy a
Yes.
thing. I always have an intention and a purpose. And
Yeah.
that's where I do lean a lot more towards, we're talking the Disney characters like Marlin or Cogsworth or Carl. Like, I joke with you
There's
about that,
meaning behind it.
but there are bits of me that really, really lean into that, and I would say the educator side of me is very much about that. So, I embrace transforming education. That's how I've always felt about education. I think, especially after our book and the research in our book, we know that education needs to be transformed. Like
Yeah.
that's a pretty common conversation no matter who you
Yeah.
talk to. So, how do you feel about it?
I think the good thing is it's not locking in on technology standalone. That's the biggest thing because I feel like there's a lot of this idea of technology got brought in. We can always look at it and say, oh, well, back in what, 2010 or whatever,
Mhm, mhm.
technology's been introduced. Well, technology's been introduced into the education system much
I
sooner
mean, even since I've been
than before
teaching.
that. Yeah, it's we're talking 80s, 90s.
Mhm, mhm.
Technology's been introduced. I mean, you look at the calculator
Yes.
for starters.
Yes.
If we want to talk about technology, let's actually look at the roots of it.
Yes.
Telephones, fax machines, or we can go way back. It's been exponential growth of technology in schools over the last 15 to 20 years.
Mhm.
And it's always been seen that, from my perspective, that, oh, technology is going to be the thing that's going to help us. It's going to transform education for us. It's going to make a difference. But really, all that's happened, as you say, people use technology for the sake of using technology.
Mhm.
And it is the wrong approach. And if we really want to be transforming the education as a whole, it needs to be an evolutionary change overall, not just a we have a classroom,
Right.
bolt something on. I've always been against this idea of just bolting something on. I said it about AI, that a lot of companies just they've got a product, had it before AI became mainstream, and they're just trying to bolt it on to tick a box. And now it's about how do we actually transform the classroom. And we've had some amazing guests that are actually doing things
Mhm.
within their class
Mhm.
that is transformational,
Yeah.
because it's not keeping to the rows and columns of a classroom listening to someone speak. It's not just about doing, here's a piece of work, you're going to do a 500 page or 500 word essay on it.
Mhm.
You're going to provide them other forms of expression and showcase their learning. That to me is transformational education. And I've completely lost where I'm going.
Well, let me pick up and help you out here. I want
Thank you.
to talk about a little bit, we have in our book the AIM framework. So it's academic, success, interpersonal skills, mastery of self. That we
Hmm.
believe in that framework. We wrote about it.
Yes.
The reason that we even came up with that framework is because we were looking at these multitudes of profile of a graduate from all over, and everybody's was
Every single
slightly
state.
different. There were
Yeah.
some common themes, and the AIM framework is really, we pulled out those common themes. When you look at the profile of an AI ready graduate and you start looking at what that includes, it's really still some of the same things in the profile of a
Hmm.
graduate in our AIM framework. It's a researcher, a synthesizer, a problem solver, a connector, a storyteller. We talk about these skills in
Yeah.
our book. These are entrepreneurship skills, and you do not
Yeah.
have to be an entrepreneur or even think that you want to be an entrepreneur for these skills to
And you,
benefit you.
and you don't need technology to actually educate how to become any of those,
Right.
how to include those into your day-to-day life. Technology provides a service to support. I
Hmm.
don't want to say enhance because it's not always going to enhance, but it can support in developing those skills, but it's not needed and it's not a requirement.
Yeah, you know what I love, and I was just thinking about the World Cup, which we've both been sad that England is out. And
Yeah.
we won't talk about that any further.
No. Thank you.
The connector piece of the AI ready graduate talks about expanding perspectives and networks and communicating, right? To connect, you need to
Yeah.
communicate and collaborate with people who are different than
Yes.
you.
Yes.
And what I think is really fascinating, there were so many people visiting from other countries here in the US for the World Cup. And I've utilized AI for this process in multiple scenarios, but being able to use AI to do language translation and preserve
Mhm.
these cultural nuances and emotional tone. As an American, we say certain things and it gets lost in translation when you're talking to the French or the Mexicans or whoever. And
Yeah.
I just finished up a conference, a virtual conference, and I'm always the co-host or the producer that is asked to do these sessions that are in other languages. So it could be in Spanish, it could be in French, it could be in Polish. I'm not fearful of hosting people who speak another language. I don't speak any of those languages. But what
Yeah.
I can tell you is that I was able to use AI to communicate with the presenters. And also, it was teaching me more about that language. And so
Mhm.
I think really transforming education means transforming learning. It means transforming how we're learning. It means transforming how we see other people learning. And it means
Yeah.
transforming the possibilities that we see when we're teaching or
It's
learning.
it's everything in education. And that's the thing. That's what I'm trying to communicate is that we as people across the world have been not really transforming education, evolving it into modern day. It's just been a
Don't you
system
think
that's been
it's a rinse
repeating the
and
same
repeat? I
process.
was gonna say it
Yeah.
reminds me a little bit about when you're doing your washing. Okay?
Mhm.
Like, you have the process there, and you do basically the same thing every time, but you may change the detergent that you're using or the softener that you're putting in, or if you're adding in a booster, right? But,
Yep.
like, they didn't always wash clothes the way we do now with a washing machine.
No,
And what
they
I think you're
don't.
saying is we need to advance the way we're doing that rather than just a rinse and
Exactly.
repeat and using a different detergent, a different softener,
Yep.
a different booster. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, basically, it is. It's the same with anything that we could discuss. If we look at aviation over the years, the Wright brothers created a plane that I think flew 100 meters,
Mhm,
and it was only a few feet off the air. It was made out of wood and paper to make it super light.
mhm,
Now we have aircraft that can carry 800 people,
mhm,
thousands of miles. It goes at hundreds of miles an hour. And yes, if you go to an airport, all planes basically look the same. Very, very similar these days compared to what you had 30, 40, 50 years ago. But the evolution from where we came from to what we have now, and even though things look similar now, the evolutions that we're making moving forward in fuel efficiency and design and the technologies that go into it are advancing further and further, and they are changing. But then you look at a classroom, and we've said it multiple times, discussed it in the book, that a classroom has not changed in 100 years.
Don't you think, and I'm gonna say this again, I'm sure I've said it, but I think it's because the expectation hasn't changed. I think the
Yeah,
expectation of
I
society
don't think it's understood.
has changed. Yeah.
I don't actually think it's understood. I think that the people that, and I'm not gonna call people specifically out, but I'm gonna say that I believe that people in senior positions, and I'm talking top level, that make decisions on budgets, that make decisions on curriculum
Mhm.
standards, requirements, expectations of those actually doing majority of the hard lifting, the heavy lifting, the hard work, don't actually know what is beneficial for the next
Well, it's
generations,
because
that is actually
they're
going to.
disconnected. You
Yeah,
get
they are,
there
because
there is
that's what I
a
mean. They don't
mhm.
understand it. They're the one thing I do want to stipulate, there are people in schools and districts who are of senior position in those that do amazing jobs. I'm talking next level up
Mhm.
kind of seniority within those areas. And I think as well, one of the biggest problems is because a lot of in personnel change round fairly regularly, it's like they're not willing to actually make significant
Well, I
change
think
that is beneficial,
I think
in
if
my
we want
opinion.
education to transform, we need to start voting people in who are making policy changes that are transformational for our students. That is really the big thing. And I'll just be real candid here in Texas, and I'm not afraid to say this. We need a change in our governor. I'm just going to
Hmm.
flat out tell you, he is not for teachers. I don't care what he says. I don't care what campaigns or marketing.
I don't think majority of people in politics, and we don't like this to be a
It's
political
not. I'm being very
podcast.
specific about Texas, though, and I wanna be very specific about
Mm,
Texas because I was a Texas teacher forever. I still have my Texas teaching certification. I am
mhm.
friends and still chat with all my Texas teacher friends, and I'm just gonna be honest, there were times when I think teachers were voting him in without really understanding the deep layers of his policies and what he was for and what he wasn't for. And I think that he has done teachers no favors. I just do
Yeah.
not see it. And I'm going to be very specific. Again, this is not a political podcast, and
Mm,
I'm not trying to bring up any other state or any other person, but I am being very specific to him. And I was very intuitive about that probably around 2018, 19. I really started picking up on, I don't think he is really for what he says he's for, and he has proven me right the last
yeah.
10 years or so. So I'm very specific about that. So I'm talking to my Texas educators, and I think it's important that we vote people in who are really going to be serious about transforming policies that benefit teachers and students. That's the only way
Mm.
I think, because teachers are doing it from the ground up. They are transforming their
Yes.
classrooms. We have principals who are supporting those teachers and transforming their campuses. We have superintendents who are doing their very best to transform their entire school districts. So I am at the place in my career and just in my life where I realize, okay, there's a blocker, and that blocker is above all of that. So
Yes.
in
Yeah,
Texas
I completely
specifically,
agree with that.
that's my
And
experience.
and the biggest issue that I have over everything is, and I've looked at this and I've said this to a number of people, is the curriculum standards, your Common Core, the changes that got made in that, where there was stipulation for for technology to be heavily introduced, which majority of your states actually use as a foundation. I don't want to say that they're using it all of it how it is, but they are, majority are using it as a foundation. But it has eliminated core foundations for education and the students being able to actually grow in a way that is actually beneficial for you. And the biggest one, which I've said on this podcast before, is cursive writing.
I just think that if we
It's so
the
simplistic.
thing
It's
about
so
it, Rick,
small.
is that we just need to remember the basics. And I think when you and I were writing the book for the profile of a graduate, we weren't trying to bring AI or technology into it. We were just looking at the basic human skills that are going to benefit students. And then the AI, the technology, the tech tools, whatever they're learning, that is enhancing it. And I think you're right. Writing is important. I don't know that everybody can cursive write. It is a lost art, just like letter writing is. But I'm going to make you move
Yeah,
on because you're getting on your soapbox per usual,
I
and I'm
am. I am. As
wrong.
always, yes, I agree.
Creativity. I want to talk about that because you and I went to the closing keynote at ISTE. It was the first time we've been able to do this, which was so fun.
Yes, together.
And
It was it the first time you'd been to the main stage
yeah, like I had
at an
not
ISTE?
been to the main stage closing session. And
But you've been to a main stage though.
uh
That's
it's
what I'm asking.
iffy.
Have you ever been to a main
Maybe an
stage
opening
event
one,
at
but the
ISTE?
majority of time that I've gone to ISTE, I've either not been on site yet or had to leave early, or I
Mm,
was working the exhibitor hall, which does not include any
yes.
time. So really, this was probably the first or maybe second, but really the first
Yeah.
that I remember. And we got to listen to someone really cool speak at the very end, aside from some of the
Yes.
educators we already know who did very short, brief storytelling, which we love to shout out our Atlanta schools peeps.
Yes.
But we won't do it by name, but because we love all of them. But who did we get to hear from that you were so excited about? Do you remember?
Yes, it was I'm trying to remember her name because it's very unique. Deanna, what was it?
Well, we
Siglius?
follow her.
Marsiglius? I'm probably murdering that name and I apologize profusely for that. Um, but it was someone that I saw that she
Deanna, and
was.
I can't, you're right. I can't say her last name, but she's the Pixar art director and character designer. And
Yes.
she did the closing main stage speaking. And what I love, and this is so fascinating because this is what I noticed. And then I'm going to let you talk about creativity. Everything she said, I'm pretty sure I was sitting there looking and going, I've said this before. I've said this before. And the only reason I've said it
Oh, yeah.
before is because in the last 6 years, I've done so much internal work that I have learned that messy is actually where it's at.
Yes.
A nonlinear path is where it's at. And not many people will tell you that. And she got up on stage and said that. But what I loved is she said, how many of you have seen Inside Out? And then you got the audience to cheer, right? And then she said, how many of you have seen Inside Out too? And then you got the audience to cheer. How many of you have seen Luca? But then I actually talked to my counselor about this because Soul is a movie that I told you to watch long ago after it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, how many of you have seen Soul? And like, I don't know, not that many people clapped. And it surprised me that people have not watched this movie that she clearly has worked on. And she talked about the
Mm-hmm.
process. I'll let you kind of speak to that. But I started thinking that Soul is one of those movies that I just believe educators should be watching. And it surprised me that not many people had seen it. And the reason I say that is because educators get in this zone. And that's what soul is all about, getting in the zone to teach your students,
Mm-hmm.
getting in that zone where it's just there is this flow of learning and teaching and this exchange of and partnership. And I was so surprised that people haven't watched that movie. And that was my one surprising takeaway, because what are you people out there doing? Go watch Disney's Soul and then get back to me. Okay, Rick, tell us about creativity.
Cool. Well, creativity, it's a word that begins with C.
No.
And no,
What a British
that's not the what that.
response. What a British
Wow,
response.
what a British response. Well, British humor. You're laughing. That's the main thing.
I'm
No,
chuckling.
it was fascinating because, as you just said, there was so many things that you related with that she communicated, and there was the same for me.
Did you take notes?
Being someone, of course I didn't.
You didn't? I did.
No, I saw you. I know you
have
did.
my
I saw you
notes
literally
right here, and I'm glad that I took them, because now I'm going to help you.
Yeah, I saw you there typing away, listening to her, and I'm just like, Tisha has this thing of, you just listen, I'll make notes. And then she goes and asks me, did you take notes? And I'm like, you told me to listen.
I was kidding about the note part just now, because I knew you didn't take notes. You were present in the moment, which was really good. So I want to hear your take, like your very short summary of what you took from her take on creativity.
The biggest thing that I found and I loved, and it's a slight deviation from my idea with creativity, was she said she was in an interview and she got asked, what's your process?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I don't have a process.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bit all over the place and everything. And that's exactly how I felt when people are saying, so what's your process with
Mm-hmm.
the work you do and stuff? And I'm like, I don't have a process. What do you mean process? I can Google something and tell you, there you go, there's a process. I don't keep to it. But I do have a process. It just doesn't fully align with any particular process that's written up and people have done studies and everything. Yeah, the expected process that you must do it by these steps. But I loved the way that she worked. Whenever she's given a project, she starts with a scrapbook of just magazine bits and she creates characters with them. And the one that stood out for me was, I think she was creating a character for Inside Out, and she used pictures of spilt red wine to create this character that looked like, she said, lava. And when you start to mash these different cutouts and stuff and creating these unique characteristics and shapes and stuff, it really brings that creative flow, those juices really going into what they're trying to imagine. And I think when you get something like that that's physical, it's not digital, you start to bring a lot more connection to what it is that you're actually creating. Because we've gone to a very digital age, and Pixar, you have to, it is a digital studio. They create digital films. Everything's animated. That's what they're known for. But they start with a physical thing and create it into something that's digital. It was the same with the movie Soul. She created, I can't remember what the names of them are, but they look like squiggles and stuff. And she said that she used wire to create the shapes of these characters, and then used a flashlight to basically project the shadows of those wires and then move around. And it was because of that, it allowed the producers to actually see them essentially being animated. And that's where you're bringing real objects into a creative space to produce them digitally. And that's incredible, because that's something that I don't really do for my work, designing digital platforms and stuff. apart from maybe what I draw on a piece of paper. But when you think about it, even the likes of Apple and Google, their design teams, when they created the things like material design, which is what you see on Android devices, the Apple's new glass version, they have physical items to see it in real world and then see how they can recreate that in a digital format. And that's what we need to really bring into classrooms, is bring back that physical expression.
It's very much
We
analog,
are,
right? And this is the thing
yes.
that she talked about. I'm going to refer to my notes, but you did a great job summarizing that, honestly, because she did say, uh, saying to yourself, I don't have a process or it's random is incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
Her approach to life is her process. And I think we all need to take that and run with it. Our approach to life is our process. She takes
Mm-hmm.
inspiration from her environment. So she said, you don't have to think about that because you are living in it. Just take
Mm-hmm.
time to look around. And she also said this, and this resonated with me. She said, I've learned not to censor myself. And I went, whoa, that's a lesson I've been learning. Because I sure
Yep.
enough have been forced probably for my whole life to censor myself, which is why this podcast has really stretched
Does
me in
not
that.
stop you.
She also said that everything is interesting when we see it as interesting. So it is all about our perspective, our perception.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she also said that she trains for creativity because creativity is a choice. I could say all day, well, Rick is naturally creative and he does all of this, but I'm choosing then to not be creative. And I am creative, but I have to
Yes.
put that into practice and I have to train myself to be creative. So taking walks, she shared some of the things she did when she takes walks. She's taking pictures of different objects and different things and she's picking up things.
And it's not just, when we're saying taking pictures of objects, she's not just taking a picture of a street or a car or something. She's actually going into detail. She showed a
Mm-hmm.
picture that she'd taken of stickers on I can't remember if it was a fire hydrant or a pole or something, and it
Mm-hmm.
showed the wear and tear of
Yeah.
those stickers on
Tells
that,
a
and
story.
everything behind it. We have to think that every object that we see that is not inside of our like day-to-day lives has their own unique story that
Mm-hmm.
we don't know about, because everything
Yeah.
that we have in our house, we know what the story is. We know when that thing came into the
Sure.
house, we know who brought it in,
Sure.
we know why it's where it is. But when we go outside, there are billions of things that we don't know the story behind.
Yeah.
And in a way, we can create our own imaginary story behind every single item.
Her
And
advice was to calibrate ourselves. It's a practice. And it's interesting because I talk about energy. I've done a lot of research in the last 6 years on energy and energy healing and how we are all connected. And some people will be like, oh, that's very woo, Tisha. But the thing is, calibrating ourselves, that's really what we're doing. Just like you would calibrate a smartboard or a tech device or your Apple Pen to your Apple device or whatever you're doing. If we're taking time to calibrate all the technology all the time, then we're not taking time to calibrate ourselves. And that's really what she's saying. So it is a
mm-hmm,
practice. It's a choice. You're training for it and it's a practice. So she suggested things that you and I have been doing, training for
yep,
marathons, meditating, yoga, walking outside every day. That is a calibration of you and your energy. And the only way to tap into the creativity is to really train to calibrate yourself, which I think the majority of people aren't doing. It goes back to what you said. We need more
mm-hmm,
analog pieces in our day.
we do.
Um, Here's what she also said, and I want to just go back to this because you and I have talked about these things before, and it actually leads us into our next point for ISTE and Orlando. But she talks about the art of exploration. So looking at things and spaces, being intuitive like a child.
Mm-hmm,
Trust your feelings, not the facts. And it's so funny that she said that because as we were walking to this main stage, I remember walking behind you and I said something like, Rick, intuition is knowing things before the facts back you up on it. I remember telling you
Yeah.
that, and I don't even know where that
Mm-hmm.
came from or why I was saying it to you. And then we sat in that audience, and I was like, she's literally saying what I just told Rick, which was such a
Yeah.
weird thing for me. She also says, treat curiosity like a kid. Now, this is something that I've been doing, discovering the world around you, but observing and noticing and be curious about it. If it's weird and wonderful, you should embrace it because kids embrace the weird and wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And then she said, meaning. The foundation that brings richness and depth is the
Mm-hmm.
story. Make it personal and seek that out. And I think when you start making things personal and you're looking around your own house, like you said, or you're, outside around you, the environments around you, and telling a story, that's really where that creativity starts flowing. And I think we need more of that in our classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
but that leads me into our last point. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready for the next point. Go on. Or last point, as you just said.
What did ISTE teach you that had nothing to do with education?
That Florida heat doesn't hit the same as British heat.
Was that a good
Because
thing or
we
a
had a
bad
heat.
thing?
That was a good thing because British heat hit
Oh,
hard
good.
the week
I
before
know where you're
Orlando, and I
going with
turned
this.
up to Orlando and was just
I
like,
know where you're going
this
with
is
it.
bliss.
You're going to talk
And
about
I have other British people that agree with that.
when we went to the outlet store. I know you're going to bring this up, so might as well just give you the floor to talk about when we went to the outlet mall and it was outside. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Take over.
Yeah, it was quite amusing for someone who's British, and people think that, well, a taxi driver even, or Uber driver even said, oh, the UK, it's fairly cold there, isn't it? Couldn't have been more wrong because we had the same temperature, if not a bit hotter, than Orlando the week prior. And for those that know, we do not have air conditioning in our homes. We do have it in
Or in
some
the
shops and
office.
everything, or in the office. I know that where I work now, thankfully, has air conditioning, but it isn't something that is just readily available everywhere. So having to put up with 90-degree heat inside your own home 24/7 really builds up a tolerance to when you go to countries that are that
I thought you were
consistently
going
with
to
high
tell the
humidity.
story about.
So
Okay.
we
Oh, we're taking the
went,
long way there.
we're
What
taking the
British
British route.
storytelling route?
Yeah, we're on the British route. So basically, we went to an outlet because someone needed some shoes, i.e., me, and we were walking around. It's outside. We'd probably been out for what, maybe 30 minutes, Tish,
Yeah.
and I could tell that Tish was irritated,
No.
a little
Irritated
bit
was not the word.
frustrated.
No, those are not the right words. No.
Well, you
Hot.
wanted to get
I
out the
was
heat as
hot.
quickly as
No,
possible.
like
Yeah, it was you
those.
were irritated by the
I don't even
heat.
think irritated is the right word. I knew what I was going
You
into
were definitely irritable.
as oh my God. As a Texan, I knew what I was going into. The humidity is what really kills a lot of us who aren't used to that level of humidity with the heat. And so,
Yeah,
yeah, like I was sweating.
yeah.
It takes like
Tish
a
was
second.
sweating, and it was clear she was uncomfortable with the heat,
Mhm.
and being in a
But I like
cool
heat.
location
I
was
like fire. I'm made
needed.
of fire.
Yes, I know that.
But
But
yeah,
Florida heat was not working well with you.
by
It's
the
not
pool, it
compatible.
was fascinating. We loved the heat. It was
Okay.
good, right? Okay. So,
Yeah.
yes, the heat.
So
So that's what you
yes.
learned is that, and that was your
And
non-education.
I was outside absolutely loving it. I was great. I wasn't
Yeah, when the
sweating.
Uber
I was like,
would come to the hotel, you'd like be standing out waiting for it, and I was like, no, I'll stay
yeah,
in the air conditioning until it gets here.
yeah. I was like, fine, no problem, easy.
Uh,
Um,
is there anything
but
else that you learned at ISTE that has nothing to do with education? Is that it?
that has nothing to do with education.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Taking my time
Okay.
at these events. So we were very last year, Tish and I we had obviously our book release, so we're doing book signings, and we had a new number of presentations, which basically meant we had no time for sessions. We had no time for ourselves. We were able to go to a couple of booths, nothing, but we were rushing around a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
And this time round, we just decided that we were going to take our time with things, not rush, go to sessions that we wanted to go to, see people that we wanted to see. And we only had 2 presentations, which were on the same day, which was great. And it just made for a more enjoyable experience where we're able to take in what we actually wanted to take in. And I think that's the thing with a lot of these conferences. It's 3, 4, 5 days seems like a long time, but when there's so much going on, it becomes very easy to overwhelm yourself and try to take everything in and essentially burn out at the end. And that's what Tish and I basically did last year.
Well, so I told
this
you.
time it was a lot easier for us. We took our time.
I told you my intention.
Took it steady.
So this is what I learned.
You did.
I made myself a promise that I was going to put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I was not going to spend the week chasing every single meetup or trying to be everywhere with everyone, which was hard for me.
Yeah.
I've done that in the past. Almost at every single conference I've been a part of, I've said yes to every single opportunity. What that does is that puts me in burnout mode real quick, and then I don't enjoy my time as much as I could. So I trusted, and I told you this, I trusted that the people that I was meant to connect with would naturally be in my path. And that's exactly how I let things play out. And so that is what I learned, is that chasing every meetup, chasing every connection, chasing, trying to be everywhere at this conference is just going to burn you out. And so if you can be really intentional and release control of that, and then just let the people fall in your path that you're supposed to see.
Yes.
There were some people, we did go to some specific booths, but we were very intentional about that as well. And I think for me, that was really the thing I learned. But here's the funny thing I learned. I'm going to share that with you and the audience. Are you ready? One of the funniest things I learned was that, yes, you should randomly get on the wrong ferry boat just to see what happens.
And we're going to leave that story there for people to...
I promised you were going to tell them. I even made a post about it.
No. Well, if you've made a post, people can go and find your post.
No, it says randomly on the wrong ferry boat just to see what would happen. Yeah, subscribe to the Play at 3 podcast with Rick to hear more. And now you're telling them they can't know.
We got on the wrong ferry boat. We wanted to go to one location and ended up going completely the wrong direction.
You don't want to tell the story. I'm going to tell the story. So after a full day at Magic Kingdom, taking the monorail there, we were like, we'll take the ferry boat back and then we'll get our Uber. And when we got into the line at the end of the night, because the weather delayed the parade, so then it lasted longer and everybody left later. There's a sea of people trying to get on this ferry boat, and it was hot. It was hot. I knew you were hot.
It was.
And I was looking over at the hotel ferry boats, and and I was like, Rick, I think that might be the good place to go. Nobody's in line over there, and we'll just go to a hotel and get an Uber. It'll be much easier. And finally we did that. And I was like, so Rick is leading the way. And I'm like, do you know where this ferry boat is taking us? And he was like, no. And I was like, these boats do not look like the Grand Floridian boats that we saw before. And so I'm not sure where this is taking us. And he was like, talk about a trust activity. You were like, we're just going to get on the boat and we'll see where it takes us. And I'm like, okay. So we get on the boat. But before we get on the boat lands. They tie their little rope on. And what is it they said? What did they ask us? Are you going to
Wilderness Lodge?
And I could not stop laughing the minute
I just went, yep.
You said, yep, we are. And I was like, oh my God, we're going to Wilderness Lodge. I don't even know where that is. So we get on and I cannot stop laughing. What are there, like maybe 8 people on with us,
Yeah.
including the captain. And I'm just laughing my head off because you were so confident. And it kept going. The boat keeps going, and it looks like we're going into the middle of the swamp in the middle of nowhere, which makes it even funnier. And then we dock, right? And we get off, and I randomly say to you, "Hey, Rick, let's take a picture right here before we go inside." So we could follow the people to know exactly where we were supposed
Exactly
to
where we
go.
needed to go.
And so
Because we had no
we
clue. And the thing is, it
follow.
was dark.
It was
We were
so
just like,
dark. There are trees. It's like definitely not the Tisha Rick vibe at all, which is even funnier. And we get in, and you got either take a left or a right. And I'm like, one of these is going to take us to the lobby. And we take the right. I follow Rick to the right because the people went to the right. And I walk and realize the reason they've taken the right is because they're going to the elevator because that's where they're staying. And I remember looking up and you had just kept walking all the way past the elevator into like this hallway. and,
yeah, because I didn't want them thinking like I was following them and then I'd realized I made a mistake. So
now I'm laughing even harder. And I just decide to turn around. I'm like, well, the other way is the right way. So I go that way. And when I get to the end of the hallway and I see how long it is to get to the lobby, I just can't even stop laughing now. I am almost falling over in laughter because now this hallway is like the length of a football field just to get to the lobby. Anyway, that's the story. I guess you weren't as amused about this as I was because you're not laughing nearly as hard as I am.
I thought it was fun. I was more focused on where do we need to go because it was so dark. Very little light of guidance.
Which made it so
and
funny.
I'm looking around for signage to say where the heck are we supposed to be going. Very minimal, so I just follow people.
It was so good.
If I hadn't paid attention, I'd have probably ended up going to their room or whatever. But obviously had to make it look like I wasn't following them.
It's
And
so
just kind
funny.
of, I'm just going to go this way. The moment the elevator doors close, right, do a U-turn, make my way back. And then we were walking. Obviously, there was like the restaurants and stuff. They were completely empty. And we're just kind of waltzing through like, yeah, we're staying here. We no idea
Long
what we're
story
doing.
short,
Trying to make it look like we're guests when we're clearly not
long
trying to
story
find
short,
where the lobby is to get out and book an Uber.
it took us much longer the way that we went
than if we
had just gotten on the ferry boat with the sea of people.
Yeah, because the moment we left the queue,
They got on the boat.
thinking that there was so many people we wouldn't get on the first one. How wrong we could have been is an understatement.
And then the
But we
Uber driver
basically
couldn't get
watched
to us.
majority of people, like literally, we were probably like halfway in the queue, and probably I'd say 80% of the people in the queue got onto the ferry. So we were wrong there. And then when we actually got to the lobby entrance, ordered the Uber, and he was just down the road and he was sat there for at least 10, 15 minutes. He couldn't get through to the hotel to come pick us up. I had to ask one of the guys that like collect the cars and everything. I'm like, so yeah, I booked this Uber and he's been sat there for about 10 minutes now. And he's like, yeah, we just normally let Ubers straight through, so I don't know why he's still sat there. If he's still there in 5 minutes, let me know and I'll find out. And I think he walked off to find out what's going on because literally 2 minutes after he walked off, the Uber started moving again.
Yeah, we learned a lot, honestly. That hop on any ferry to see what would happen is essentially how the whole ISTE experience went because we had travel issues. We also were in an Uber that got pulled over by the police in Florida, which was
we did.
we won't even go into that, but that was an experience for both of us. And that it was insane. But I think what we learned overall is really just fly by the seat of your
Expect the
pants.
unexpected.
Yeah, and be okay with how it all turns out, whatever is different
I
than what
mean,
you
yeah,
planned.
I think that was really the theme of the whole
Mhm.
trip because, I mean, I turned up 40 it took me 48 hours to get there. I turned up
I
28
was hoping
hours
we weren't gonna
late.
talk about this, but thank you for
Um,
taking me back to
well,
it.
no, no, you literally just said
I was
that
trying to
I said that
summarize.
expect the unexpected. That we certainly did, and it started from before we even left our destinations.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, left our departure
We
locations,
are
not
1 hour
destinations.
into
But
this
anyway,
episode, which is hilarious
oh
because
crikey,
I thought
you
it
thought this was going to be a 30-minute
I
episode, didn't
wanted
you?
it to be, and here we are.
Yeah, no,
But
that's
I
never going
still
to
have
happen.
some juice box confessionals for the people who are still commuting or listening to us while they're doing
Oh,
their
don't talk to
chores.
me about commuting.
No, you do not get to be on your soapbox anymore. You can save that for another episode. Look at me. No.
Manchester, sort your
No.
metro service out. The replacement buses are useless. Continue.
You just had to get that in there,
If you,
didn't you?
if you're wondering what I'm talking about, Google it.
Okay, Rick. Which country does breakfast better?
Ooh. Vatican City.
Rick. British versus American. Which country?
You didn't say that to me.
Which country does breakfast better?
You just said which one does
Do
breakfast
you want to
better.
argue? I need you to
Yes.
answer this question.
Okay, I'm gonna say the US.
You are? Why?
Yes. More variation.
We had hotel breakfast,
Every
and I just have to.
every time I had breakfast, even in the UK, I enjoy a full English from the UK. However, there are places that do American breakfast, and the variations are far greater.
I'm gonna debate with you. I think the full British English breakfast is the best, hands down, along with the Sunday roast. So wow,
Yeah, Sunday roast, you can't go wrong.
I didn't
Continue.
expect our answers to be completely opposite. Okay. Would you rather only eat breakfast forever or only dinner forever?
Oh, breakfast,
Yeah, me too.
100%.
Will you always be 5 minutes early or 30 minutes late? Which would you rather be?
I'd rather be 5 minutes early, but 30 minutes late is a very common thing for me.
Me too. My answer is exactly the same. The squirrel's trying to steal my food again. Okay. Ooh, this is a hard one. It's not. Would you rather never fly again or never drive again?
Never drive
Me
again.
too. Same
100%.
answer.
100. I would rather get public
Yeah.
transport or taxis
Yeah.
than never fly again.
Would you rather have unlimited books or unlimited travel?
Unlimited travel.
Me too.
Like the fact that you're asking a dyslexic person unlimited
I
books.
I was thinking audiobooks. Okay.
All right.
What is a purchase from Orlando that you don't regret? A purchase from Orlando that you absolutely do not regret.
Hmm.
You only get to pick one.
I'm gonna say one of those cookies from that.
Yes.
What's it called? What was
Shout
it
out to
called?
Amy Storer because she's the one that told me about these cookies.
Those cookies were
Weren't they
incredible.
so good? I mean, I've honestly, I don't even know how to explain it.
Oh, they were so good.
I'm looking for our I know I took a picture at some
So
point.
it's like a very gothic style shop in Disney Springs, and there was a queue to get in. It was well worth it. We weren't in the queue that long,
No, it's really
probably like
tiny
10 minutes.
inside.
But really like gothic
It's
style
called
about it.
Gideon's.
But Gideon's, oh,
Gideon's, so
I
good.
would go
So
all the way
good.
back to Orlando
Those
purely for
cookies.
that.
And the one that we got that we shared, what was it, like toffee chocolate chip or something? That one actually was the best one
Something,
because I
yeah.
took home a chocolate chip And I was like,
I took
dang.
home cookies and cream.
And I was like, dang, I should have got another one of those that we ate that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were good. Also, a purchase I don't regret is Magic Kingdom. That was fun.
Yeah.
Uh that's all I got for you today. We went
That's all
we
you've
went
got for
really
me.
well. I could ask you what's the hill you'll die on, but you've already done that. We're an hour and 4 minutes in, and I let you go all in on some of these.
Yeah.
I am excited about the rest of our episodes, though. We do have some really fantastic people in queue
We do.
for the rest of season 2 and the
Yep.
rest of
Yeah, I like how
2026.
you say the rest of season 2. There's probably another 40
Well, I
episodes
was
to go.
gonna
We're not
say
even halfway yet.
2026. You know,
Okay, yeah. If we talk
yeah.
for the rest of 2026, yes,
So,
yes.
if you haven't
Oh, and
listened,
then we'll have our Christmas special again.
we will have
That's
a
going to be a
Christmas
nice.
special. Yes.
Looking forward to that one.
That'll be good. And also, if you haven't listened to any of the Play of Three podcasts, you need to go listen to
Mm.
them and subscribe
Yes,
and share your favorite moments. And if you don't want to publicly share your favorite moments, you can always text me or DM me or DM Rick or DM the Play of
I
Three
was I was
account.
gonna say they if you can
You were
DM
about
me.
to threaten them.
Tisha can't. No, I was not. Tisha can't have all the attention. My goodness.
Okay.
Please message me. I don't get anything.
You do so. Stop that. That's all we've got for today, Rick. Thank you for joining me for this
Excellent.
ISTE reflection.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been
Thanks
fun
for our
to
shirts too.
reflect on.
I really love
You're
these.
very welcome. It is good. It is
Yeah.
good. And if you are think you'd like to get one of these and whatnot, just let us know, and we will. I'm sure we'll sort something out in the future. Maybe we'll have a Played 3 shop,
I like it. That sounds good.
which would be good. All right. Well, until next week, then. We'll see you then. Bye for
Bye.
now.